Hey, it's that man, and today we're going to talk about some manga. If you're like me, you've probably got a decent collection of manga, and as you know, a lot of these things do start and add up in cost, with each manga costing roughly anywhere from £7 to £15 each. Buying a few of them will add up rather quickly. So let's have a look at 5 tips that I've taken on board to reduce my cost of spending on the beloved pastime. Write out a list. Budget. Because it's all well and good saying, yeah, we can make things cheaper and stuff like that. But if you're sitting there and you get paid whatever you get paid and you're spending 99% of that on manga, you're not going to save any money. So work out how much you can spend each month on manga and we can take it from there. I know it sounds stupid, but at the end of the day, that's kind of what people should be doing anyway, but Okay, so the first step before we kind of go anywhere else is pre-owned books. Now, a lot of people like their manga in a certain condition, and a lot of their manga like their condition to be brand new, completely brand new. However, if you're willing to look around and if you're willing to kind of have a look and see what's going on and see what other people have, you can often net yourself a few nice little bargains. See all of my Full Metal Panic stuff? I bought those years after release, years after they were out of print, and I think I paid about 10 quid for the stack of manga. But at the end of the day, pre-owned books are a fantastic way to kind of get stuff that you can't normally find, and sometimes at more affordable prices. If someone wants to kind of get rid of stuff, they will try and shift it for a lot cheaper. This is especially good at stuff like conventions, where you often see loose manga, odd volumes here and there, that's kind of just trying to just sell them for next to nothing because they're trying to get rid of them. However, this is a little bit of a double-edged sword because I do tend to find a lot of the times when I'm looking for stuff like this, you will see the odd people who will try and sell a scuffed up copy of Death Note Volume 6 or whatever for pretty much full price. A lot of people feel that because they spent £6 or £7 on a manga, and once they've read it, that's going to be the price of it. Not so much. I personally feel that if it's a manga, it's already been read. I always try and save £4 at the maximum for common stuff like Shonen Jump titles, because you can kind of buy most Shonen Jumps at around that price. Now, one of the easiest ways to save money on buying manga, and that's with online subscriptions. Now, the most one that I always recommend is the Shonen Jump one. At the moment, it costs $26 for an entire year. However, that does tend to drop around Christmas time. They do tend to drop that to around $20. So for you people in the UK, that originally it's about £20. It can drop down to about $15. That's less than £2 a month. And that covers you for your One Piece, your My Hero Academia, your Promised Neverland, your Boruto, your Dr. Stone. It gives you stuff like My Hero Academia Vigilantes included in there. It gives you a few other free little ones. I think Dragon Ball Super is in there. The recent chapters of Haikyuu are normally in there. And it's a nice little way to save money because at the end of the day, it's not going to break the bank. Whenever there's a new series starting, they tend to put it in there for a few chapters. They tend to give you free teasers of pretty much all of the Shonen Jump series. So if you like Shonen Jump stuff, you can't go wrong with an annual subscription. Another one is Crunchyroll Manga. A lot of people overlook this because Crunchyroll pretty much never ever advertises it. Well, they do have quite a few decent series. Last time I checked, they had stuff like Fairy Tail, they had stuff like Attack on Titan, they had a lot of the Kodansha ones, actually. They also had stuff like Sunken Rock. They also had the new Fairy Tail spin-off. So if you're buying Crunchyroll as it is, that's included. So it's always worth having a look on there to see if there's anything that you kind of want to read before you start shelling out money. Another good one, J-Novel Club. That one has quite a few decent titles on there that are now getting released in physical form. So if you don't mind your digital stuff, then it's worth checking out some of these. Sticking with digital, there's actually a lot of digital sites where you can buy manga, comics and light novels, sometimes pretty cheap. One of the most ones I tend to use is Comixology. It is owned by Amazon. However, you tend to get a lot of cheap stuff. They have most of the Shonen Jump. There's a lot of like the Viz stuff. They have a lot of the Press stuff, 7 Seas, Kodansha stuff. Dark Horse is kind of hit and miss with them. But they do have a lot of good titles on there, and they will often put them on for quite cheap. I've bought a lot of the Kodansha ones. Kodansha, they tend to have like stuff every other week. They have stuff reduced down. And these are pretty much like $3.99 each. Put it this way, I recently bought all of One Punch Man for like 20 quid. I mean, yeah, it's digital, and if something happens to this platform, which we have seen in the past, you run the risk of losing stuff. The other ones as well is Bookwalker, which I haven't had a huge amount with, but I've bought stuff here and there, and they are pretty good as well. You can actually tend to buy a lot of Japanese stuff on there as well, which is always good. They have a mix of light novels, which Comixology doesn't tend to have much of them. But yeah, Bookwalker tends to be a lot better for that. Kindle, I kind of hit and miss with Kindle. They're not bad, but they're not particularly great. But that one's kind of tying you with your Amazon account again. So if you don't mind that, it's worth having a look, to be honest. Another one is Shop Online. Don't stock a huge varied amount of manga unless it's a comic shop. At least in my experiences. Online, you can tend to find a lot more. Now, instead of Amazon, as of late, I've actually been using Wordery and the Book Depository. They tend to get things in a lot quicker than Amazon does, and they tend to have a lot better deals. I've just recently bought Volumes 11 and 12 of Monster Musume, Volume 2 of Please Tell Me Galko-chan, Volume 6 of Golden Kamuy, which isn't out normally until next month, and Volume 1 of Devilman Omnibus, the big massive collector's one. And I paid about £6 for each of the Monster Musumes, which usually in my local shop they're about £10 each. Galko was about £6 or £7, and the Devilman one was £14. As you can probably imagine, you are getting significant deals on these. The Book Depository tends to always undercut Amazon by at least a penny. But now, to be honest, most of my stuff has went to Wordery. Wordery do deals as well. I think one of the ones I had recently was if you buy at least 2 volumes of something, you get 10% off. The only issue is that Amazon and Wordery don't really advertise manga much. Another good one, if you're in the US, is Right Stuff as well. Right Stuff tend to always do really good deals on some manga every now and again. If you're in the UK, it's not really, it kind of 6 and 2 threes once you factor in the shipping and possible customs. But if you're in the US, it is a lot cheaper than buying elsewhere, and you can get some fantastic deals. Shop at stores that do point systems or other benefits. I tend to use a lot of physical stores for manga. It's nice to be able to walk into a store and actually have a look and see what they've got. Now, some stores, at least in the UK, they're different than others. Forbidden Planet, I tend to find stocks only the popular stuff. They used to be really, really good for manga. Not so much now, but that might just be our local one. I know the Manchester one is absolutely amazing. On the other hand, Traveller Man, they stock a huge amount of manga, but they also do a point system. So if you spend so much, you get points, and you can accrue them over the course of whenever. And you can then use those points against more purchases. Another good one is Waterstones. They actually do stamps, so if you basically spend £10 or more, most of the time if you're buying physically, you're going to find that manga is going to be about $9.99, so if you're buying a few, usually if it's $9.99, they'll just stamp it anyway. So if you spend £100, you'll get £10 off. Places like Traveller Man and Waterstones, they give you the selection. I mean, there's been a lot of series that I've never even known were even released that I've picked up in them. Umaru was one where I just walked past and I was like, oh wow, Umaru's actually out to buy. Yeah, I'll buy it. A lot of these stores as well tend to have a bit of a presence at conventions. I know London MCM, and Manchester MCM and a few of them tend to have the Travelling Man stores, and they tend to have like 3 for 2 on all of the books, or all of Yen Press, or all of like a certain type, so you can get some really, really good deals. Well, that's it for that top 5. Hopefully I've managed to find some ways to save some money for you. And if you've got some own tips of yourself, why not leave them in the comments, because it's always useful to have. At the end of the day, we're trying to get people to support the official releases, purchase manga. I know it's a lot easier just to read stuff online without paying, but at the end of the day, if we don't pay for the stuff, the manga industry is only going to suffer. Did you enjoy that? Well, we've got some other stuff on the site if you want to have a little bit of look. Nendoroids, gaming, One Piece merchandise, it's all kind of there. So if you click around here, you'll be able to subscribe or at least have a look on the channel. Also, there's some other things just around here. Thanks for coming and thanks again. Goodbye.